Far from others. An audio medium unlike anything you've ever heard before. The pinnacle of sound experience. Jacked and Canned. Featuring John Tessman and Colby Tyler. A place where you will get the information you crave. And hear about the topics that you love. Presented by themselves. Coming to you from the basement, bar, and the bedroom. Sponsored by no one. Jacked and Canned.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sports Roundtable of Jacked and Canned. For the first time ever, in person, both Colbz and John hanging out at the same place. John and Michelle on the couch in the background. So we have a real crew tonight. John, so we usually start this with who's on top.
We're still going to start it with who's on top. Because we got the Holy Moss computer.
Top. There's a link.
Literally, who's on top right now? Major League Baseball kicking it off with the American League. Yanks sitting on top, 60-23. Damn.
What division is that, John?
AL East.
That's right.
Red Sox falling way behind, 15 games back at 45-38. The Rays 45-38.
It's pretty impressive. The Yankees have a 15-game lead when they have positive records. Like, Jesus, the Yankees are on fire, huh?
It is insane. And even the Blue Jays at 45-39. Almost everybody's 45-38. I kind of wish the Blue Jays had one less loss because that would sound really cool.
Well, then they'd have one more win. It would just mess up the whole system.
True. And you know what? The Orioles, they're not that far behind
either.
No,
I'm noticing that.
40-44.
They're only 20 and a half games back.
It's it. It's still manageable. Last 10 games, you know how I love mentioning that. 6-4.
Oh, they're on fire.
AL Central Twins sitting on top over there, followed by the Guardians. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. We need the Cleveland Indians. What are they going to do? They need to change it back. We need the old team name because of the movie Major League. That's why.
They changed it for a reason.
Oh, that is true. That is true. Well, as long as we get the pitcher, what the hell was his name? Not Ricky Bobby. That's Talladega Nights.
John, I
give him the heater,
the
Ricky. No, thanks for helping me out with that one. All right, we need the Cleveland Guardians to bring back whoever that closer was from the movie Major League. You don't need to change your name back. We just need him to be the Guardian. All right, AL West, Astros sitting on top. Oh, the Angels. I don't even know what to say. 38-46.
I mean, they're doing better than they were, weren't they?
I guess, but they're slipping away. You know who's not slipping away? The Mets. NL East.
Whole
sitting on top.
3.5 game lead.
3.5 game lead.
It ain't the All-Star break yet.
I'm getting a little nervous about the Braves. They're coming close. The Phillies are catching a little bit of fire, too. 6-4 last 10 games. We're going to see what goes on over there. NL Central, Brewers sitting on top, followed by the Cardinals. NL West, the Dodgers starting to run away with it a little bit. 53-29, followed by the Padres, 48-36, who's 6 games back in the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants just won't die, though. They just won't die.
But they're falling apart. 2-8 last 10 games, 41-40. So they're losing too much ground at this point. Colbz, that's who's on top.
All right, fair. Wow, that actually went really quick. Okay, how about that? We still got some time to kill. So, John, where do we want to start? Do we want to talk NFL? Do you want some NBA offseason? Where do you want to go?
I want to hear a little NBA offseason.
Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving?
I want to hear about both. Kyrie Irving first.
All right. So, Kyrie, one of the things I decided about Kyrie Irving, he's the guy, right, that you say, hey, we're going to be doing this big event. Like all the boys are going to go out. We're going to go to this thing. And he originally goes, no, I don't think I can do it, but I'll let you know if something changes. About a week beforehand, you get a Venmo for like $200, and you're like, where's this coming from? Why are you giving me this money? Are you in? I think I'm in. But, I have to see. And then like the day before, calls you and says, you know what? I don't think I can make it. My girlfriend doesn't like when I hang out with you guys. She says I get too rowdy. It's just a little bit too much. And then still shows up the day of. and then the whole time is on the phone with his girlfriend. That's who Kyrie Irving is. And so when I'm looking at what he's doing with this offseason, essentially the Nets, they do not want Kyrie. They're like, please go find somebody.
So
Find
KD's
somebody that
gone,
wants you.
Kyrie's gone.
Kyrie is absolutely going to be gone.
KD too.
Very likely. We'll get to him in a moment. But with Kyrie, the only team that shows interest is the Lakers. And the only thing they're willing to give up is Russell Westbrook. And they're like, here, we'll give you Westbrook and a pick. And because Kyrie makes less than Westbrook, they would actually have to add a second player. So the Lakers would be making out with potentially Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris, who's a knockdown 3-point shooter and a big guy that can defend relatively well. Not great, but they would be able to get two guys, one of which is an all-star and the other of which is a pretty solid role player for the mess that is Russell Westbrook.
Is that catching any momentum, though? Do you think that's actually going to happen?
Kyrie camped himself out in LA and said, okay, guys, just make it happen.
No, he didn't.
He's just sitting in LA waiting. He's like, yep, I'm here. I'm ready to report.
Play with LeBron again.
So the thing is that the Lakers are ready to make it happen, and the Nets want to find more. The problem is nobody else even wants Kyrie. It's come to that. Like, Kyrie Irving is a top 12 player in the NBA, and nobody wants Kyrie.
You being a big-time LeBron fan, Kyrie and LeBron used to play together. But did they ever win a championship?
2016, down 3-1 to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors.
Right, that's interesting. Have they publicly said that, has Kyrie said that he likes LeBron, and has LeBron said that he likes
He actually
Kyrie?
went as far as to apologize for the way that it ended in Cleveland because he left before LeBron did. He said, I did that wrong. That's how deep that's gotten. So Kyrie wants to play with LeBron again. Right. Kyrie wants to go to LA. LA wants Kyrie. I want it to happen, obviously. The Nets don't want Russell Westbrook is the problem because nobody wants a $47 million contract for a player that can't shoot.
Could he come back on fire with a new setting? I mean, he's got the talent.
He can, considering that it's LeBron and AD. Granted, I still don't think it's a title team because they have no roster beyond that. And John, actually, one thing I will mention to you after last episode, and I was just laughing you off the whole time about, well, not even laughing. I was just basically giving you the wave. Get out of here, John. The day after you did the whole thing talking about all the young guys that are coming into the league. Well, Scottie Pippen Jr., as you know, is a Laker, and he apparently had a very good first summer league game. Granted, I take nothing of that, but I did find it funny. I literally took a picture of it, John. I'm going to show it to you here real quick.
Oh, we're going to show our fans first. Ready? Here it is. So there he is, Scottie Pippen Jr., ladies and gentlemen.
It's a picture of me.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was him.
Scottie Pippen Jr. delivers for the Lakers is the headline, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Wow, that didn't come out good. But point of it being is that they're not going to have much of a roster beyond those three, but those three are significant players in the NBA. So I would be very curious to see what that team actually shapes out and looks like. Also, none of them play an entire season anymore. LeBron's good for about 55, 60 games. AD could be 25, could be 60. It just depends on the year. And Kyrie, it's all up here. But you never know with Kyrie.
So if he goes there to the Lakers, is that guaranteed money? Lakers are winning the championship.
No. I don't think that they win the championship if all three of them play the whole season. I honestly don't. I still think this is going to be a Golden State, Boston, Miami, Milwaukee season. And unless Durant and Phoenix is in there. And if Durant gets one of his picks with Phoenix and Miami, that's who I'm backing because that's going to be the best team in the NBA, regardless of which team. And if Golden State or Boston is able to acquire him, well, then I would have to go that direction. So we're going to move over to KD.
Uh-oh.
Very slow action. The Nets are not happy with what's been offered to them thus far. They are not getting rid of both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and coming back with Russell Westbrook and DeAndre Ayton. They're just not having it. They're saying, no, you guys got to do better than this. So the league is kind of in a standstill, especially with DeAndre Ayton, because his contract is up. He's a restricted free agent. The Nets can re-sign it, or the Suns, rather, can re-sign him. But they don't want to give him max money. So he will be on a different team next year. It's just a matter of where, but they're trying to keep it under their wraps until they can figure out what to do with KD. Because if they can toss DeAndre Ayton to the Nets for KD as part of that package, they would prefer to do so. The sneaky thing is, if there's another team that really likes DeAndre Ayton, say, for example, the Pacers, who have been after him, if they sign him to a deal and then it puts the Suns in a spot where they have to match the deal just to keep him on their roster in order to even trade him. And if they sign him, if they match that deal and they sign him, and he decide, or the Kevin Durant and the Nets decide they don't want DeAndre Ayton, well, now the Suns are stuck with DeAndre Ayton, who they didn't want. So it's kind of a whole shit show, and this is really, it's become the KD watch of 2022. So we're waiting to see what happens with KD, and that's where all the pieces fall in line. Because once KD goes, everybody else starts moving that's left to be moved. James Harden still hasn't re-signed with the 76ers, and it was originally reported he was going to re-sign for lesser money. Now I'm waiting to see, is this because they think they might be looking to acquire more players? And James Harden might be in a spot where he's wondering,
does he go somewhere else?
Well, he might be wondering, is it going to be enough
to keep him?
Well, is it going to be enough for me to stay there and I can go elsewhere? Or is he just waiting to see, hey, let's see what guys they get to see how little money I have to go after this for so I can stay with Philly?
Colbz, it must be nice to be a key player because you have the opportunity to be like, you know what? Don't really like the roster this year. Trade me.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like a, second string, third string player,
yeah,
you don't really have the
you're
option
going
to
wherever the
in.
money is. But these guys too, that's the other thing, John. Most of these guys, when we're talking about KD, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, they've made hundreds of millions of dollars already. So they already have this much money built up where you can say, yeah, I should probably take the extra 16 million, but do I really need it? Let's see if we can win. So that's what James Harden is supposedly doing right now. He's saying,
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, he's playing with Joel Embiid. He's playing with Tobias Harris. He's playing with some guys and Tyrese Maxey. So for James Harden, he's looking at this like, okay,
the long run.
I'm sitting out of this right now because he's been to here's one interesting fact about James Harden. He's made the playoffs every year he's ever played in the NBA. Never won a title.
That's random.
Yeah. He's been in the league for like 12, 13 years, something like that. Never won a title. Might even be more than that.
Wasn't he on Golden State for a little while?
No.
Off the bench?
Nope. That was Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Keep that in mind, John. Remember that once upon a time, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant were all on the same team, and they were all in their mid-20s. Think about that. And Serge Ibaka was there too, who's also a very good player, still playing today.
They won championships.
They went to the finals and lost to LeBron and the Heat.
How many times?
Once.
God, I feel like they
immediately after that, James Harden leaves for the Rockets. Since then, all three of those players have won the MVP.
Wow.
That team could have been, like, if you want to talk about a team that could have been and just never was, that's the team.
That would have been a freaking dynasty right there.
Oh, it would have. It would have won several championships. And because Oklahoma City didn't want to start James Harden because they said he couldn't play defense, and he can't. That's not a lie. But they would have been a perpetual title team. Probably, in all seriousness, I think they would have still been winning when Steph Curry and them came onto the scene. Because you think about it, KD and James Harden, knockdown shooters, just the same as you see with like a Steph Curry and a Klay Thompson.
All three guys, right? They're kind of uncertain where they're going to go with their future. Is there any possibility that all three link up again? Get it done in their older years?
But here's the thing, John. Russell Westbrook at this point, he doesn't fit in today's NBA because he can't shoot. You have to be able to shoot now.
What team could take him to give him a shot? Like OKC. Are they
I was going to say, here's the funny thing, John. If you wanted to say, here's the team that could take all three, it's OKC. Because they just had the number 2 pick in the draft. They're terrible.
Okay.
Like they were one of the worst teams in the league. They've got a couple of nice young pieces. Yeah, all three of those guys, if they wanted to, Yeah, they could
I'm
absolutely
down
find
with
their way
seeing that. I
back
would
there.
definitely tune into that. That's a game that I could watch.
I would too, because of the interest, but it wouldn't be that good anymore. KD is phenomenal. James Harden is starting to fall off because James Harden keeps less care of himself than I do of myself. And you're starting to see it. He's in his mid-30s now, and his game is just slipping. And Russell Westbrook, he lived on athleticism. And he takes care of himself, but he's been so hard on his body over the course of the years. He can't do the things he used to. Like, he used to be able to jump from damn near the 3-point line and dunk that shit down. He can't do that anymore. It's not part of his game. It's gone. And he'll never get it back.
I hope he does.
Of course.
To you.
Here it is.
To you.
John will forever be hopeful. So, John, do we want to move over to the NFL?
I think we do. There's been a lot of NFL buzz going around because I think the season's going to be starting up, what, September?
Yes, it is.
When does preseason start?
August. Yeah, next month.
Oh, that is weird.
We're close to football. It's almost back.
That's exciting, but also sad at the same token because summer's going by too fast.
Yeah, no shit.
So we
by the time football starts, we're already living our last legacy of summer up here.
So we need more baseball talk, is what you're saying.
No, we do not. Oh, John, I heard this hot story in baseball recently. Nobody gives a shit.
Oh, great! Cheers. Throw it up. Colbz, cheers.
Oh, I got to
the studio.
You realize I got to twist a cap off every time, right?
Yeah. So Colbz got the fancy Coors Lights, the 16-ounce Coors Lights today.
It's a 1 pint.
Hey, cheers to that. Cheers to the 1 pint.
Michelle, if you didn't hear that, chimed in and let me know that is 16 ounces. So I stand corrected. John, as we move over to the NFL.
I can't mute myself. We're on the same recording. So
well, I mean, you can reach the mouse more easily than I can. You have a reach advantage.
If I mute myself, ladies and gents, boom, silence from all ends.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, then you wouldn't hear me either.
We'll just throw up the picture. Bam, there you go. That's how you can see it.
So as we move to the NFL, John, did you hear that Baker Mayfield has been moved?
You, my friend, are a freaking genius when it came to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, real quick plug about this guy. If you haven't tuned into the show under Breaking Down the Tapes umbrella, nobody is shiftier. You called that perfectly.
I did.
And it was scary how you called that. Because I remember typing it in when you broke that news of or whatever you felt like he was going to go over to Carolina. I was like, there is no way that he's going to go to Carolina. Like that can't be the right thing. Oh my God, I just broke the mic. I just broke the mic stand, Colbz.
Nope. We saved it.
All right, we saved it. So, dude, you called it. I don't know how you did it. Did you have some leads from something else?
So the main lead that I was following there is that Seattle just hasn't shown interest in wanting to acquire a quarterback because, in all seriousness, and I don't want to use the word tanking, but Seattle plans to win no more than 5 games next year. And the best way to do that is you make sure that you have not an average quarterback, but poor quarterback play.
So they're sticking with Geno.
It looks like it's probably going to be Drew Lock
to beat out Geno.
Which is just one backup beating out another backup. Damn it. So Seattle is going to be starting a backup quarterback throughout the course of this season. And what we're doing right now is seeing Baker Mayfield move to Carolina, which by itself actually has some interesting storylines, John. So we know that Carolina doesn't have great quarterback play, but here's a couple things to keep in mind. Sam Darnold, who's been over there with Carolina now, been in the system, he already knows the playbook. Baker does not. They were drafted the same year, number 1 and number 3 overall. Sam Darnold, in theory, should be your game 1 starter.
You would think so.
But then why would you trade for Baker Mayfield?
Unless they're going to trade Darnold out.
But who wants him?
Seattle.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Still be a 5-win.
I was going to say, yeah, they actually won't do any better. He's about the same as Drew Lock.
Is he the new Sam Bradford?
No, because Sam Bradford can still win you 10 games.
Is he even playing anymore?
God, I hope not. But when I look at this, I'm like, so you traded for a guy that shouldn't be the week one starter. And the thing that's killing me the most is the coach in this, Matt Rule. So he has this decision to make. Do I go with Sam? Do I go with Baker? Well, does either, neither really seems like a win, but he's kind of coaching for his job right now. So you got to make the best decision. So do you pick the guy that knows the playbook, or do you just pick the guy that's a little bit better, but he's not really a ton better? He is better. I would give that. Baker is definitely better than Sam. But which way do you go here? I would go Baker, especially since week one. Week one, Carolina plays Cleveland.
Ooh.
I feel like Baker needs to be playing.
You got to play Baker because I think he's got something to prove now too. I think.
He does. He does.
Yeah,
and this is a contract year, so if Baker Mayfield goes out there and balls out,
he's making money.
Somebody wants to get him, and like I said last week with you, that could be Chicago. If say Justin Fields doesn't look great, you bring in a Baker and say, okay, if Justin Fields doesn't do it this year, we have Baker to go back on. Tua. Same thing. Jalen Hurts, same thing.
True.
There are teams that could be moving off their first guy that they have right now that they're like, no, we don't want Baker. But in a year, they might say, let's bring in a bridge quarterback.
And, it's funny talking about quarterbacks. Nobody is shiftier. You mentioned Jimmy G.
Thank God you brought that up because we were moving him next.
Dude, what the hell? Was there recent news that broke? Because I haven't heard anything either.
So here's the deal.
Trey Lance, Jimmy G, who's it going to be?
And that's just it. What I'm hearing is that the Niners are not necessarily sold on Trey Lance.
Ooh.
So they haven't moved off of Jimmy G. And granted, at this point, there's nobody they could even trade him to because they're not going to trade him in division to Seattle. They don't want to see Seattle have Jimmy and then all of a sudden have success.
True.
So they're not going to dish him there. Granted, I think that's kind of dumb. I feel like you should trade in your division if it benefits you. But point of it being is they're not going to do it. Nobody else really wants to go get a quarterback right now. Now, there's teams that could, like, say, New Orleans. Maybe you don't love that Jameis Winston is your quarterback. Maybe you say, hey, Jimmy G, we got a pretty good roster. I bet Jimmy G could run this. But I don't think that that's what New Orleans is going to do. So Jimmy G is now kind of just stuck on the San Francisco roster. And you're almost as San Francisco, and I don't want to put words in their mouth. They're almost hoping that a quarterback goes down with an injury in preseason so that they can dish Jimmy to them. And it's like, we got a good deal for him.
Now it has to be Lance to start.
Right. Because right now, the majority of the San Francisco locker room wants Jimmy G as their starting quarterback. They don't want Trey Lance. That's going to be weird when you throw out Trey Lance in week one, and he's probably not going to be as good as Jimmy, even if he might one day be better than Jimmy. Right now,
it's not the time to rebuild either.
No,
it's not the time to take a loss season.
They have a massively well-built roster. Yeah. They're kind of like Cleveland of the NFC, where they have all the pieces.
You can't waste the season. You can't.
I would play Jimmy still. I don't know what they're full blown on. Yep, we're gonna play Trey, and it's like
that's one of those moments.
Should you?
If Trey plays and he does horrible in a couple of games, they'll pull him, put Jimmy back in, and that could be the end of what we see Trey Lance.
Yeah,
be the next. Josh
I agree.
Rosen.
The one thing that I think of, so you remember a couple years ago when it was Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa, and Tua, they would throw out there to start, and then at halftime, they were like, no. Get Fitzpatrick in there. That's all I can think of right now. I'm like, this is exactly what this is going to be. It's going to be Trey going out there. You put up 6 in the first half, and then they're like, hey, Jimmy, can you we got a good defense. Can you just put up another, 17 so we can win this game, 20-17? And that's what I think you're going to see from San Francisco. It's going to be a whole lot of just unsure, just total shit all over the field. And, thankfully for them, or luckily for them, they'll be able to beat Seattle twice a year. So, there's 2 wins.
Oh, all the Seattle fans out there.
Dude, I am telling you, man, this is upsetting. I know that this is for the greater good, but I am going to have to endure a terrible season.
You have no confidence in the Seahawks.
No, not at all. And the funny thing is like I talk with some Seahawks fans, and they're like, dude, at worst, I think we're like a 7-10 team. And I'm like, at worst, we win 2 games. At best, we win 7. Like we're not here to win this year. Yes, I know that we had a pretty good draft, which is very rare for us to say, but those guys aren't people that come in and change the team in 1 year. Yeah, we might have a better offensive line. You know what? Cool. Drew Lock's still throwing the football.
True.
In case you didn't notice, we have 5 running backs that can all play. Are any of them great?
Who's going to start?
Maybe one.
Penny?
And that's a huge maybe. We have no idea if he's actually really good or not. So
ran for 800 yards in 2 games.
It was 5 games.
There you go.
2 games, 400 yards a game. So he broke the record twice.
It seemed like it. It definitely seemed like it last season. Every time you go to look at the box score, it's like, what the hell's going on with this cat?
We do have great weapons with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I will give us that. And then we also added Noah Fant. And that's going to be huge at the tight end spot, because that is the quarterback's best outlet. Defensively, okay, we drafted a pass rusher. He wasn't successful against any top-tier offensive lines in college football. Guess what happens with top-tier offensive lines in college football? They go to the NFL.
Yeah.
So now he has to play that every week.
Teams.
No, not necessarily.
Right.
And even if they do, he still has to play them every week. It's going to be the top-tier guys every week. I don't think that he's going to be anything. We grabbed one super athletic corner, and then the guy that was opposite of, Sauce Gardner. So we've got 2 guys that people are high on at corner, but they were 4th and 5th round picks for a reason. I know that Seattle's done a great job of picking defensive backs late in the draft. Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, those are 2 great examples. But can we just rely on that's going to be great? Neither one of them right now are slotted to be starters. I don't foresee that being something next year that's going to take off. And we have 2 very good safeties, except one thinks he's a linebacker. Jamal Adams plays linebacker and just calls himself a safety. It's just Quandre Diggs back there. So we're not going to be any good. But hey, we're going to get one of these kids in the draft next year. That offensive line, that new young offensive line, they're going to be a year older. We'll probably have running backs situated by, I hope a whole year from now, we won't have 5 running backs and we're not sure which one's going to play. I think we have a thing to start on. But for right now, we're going to be terrible.
Who's going to be worse, the Jags or the Seahawks?
That's a question.
I say the Jags are going to be better than the Seahawks.
Here's the funny thing. The Jags made a lot of offseason moves.
Yep.
And I still think because they're the Jags that they will inevitably be worse than Seattle. And I think Seattle's only winning like 4 or 5 games.
Jags are winning 6 games.
Setting the bar high for Jacksonville.
Or 7 games. I might as well go on FanDuel right now and put them to go to the Super Bowl. I'm sure the odds are horrible.
Actually, you know what you should do, John? See what their over-under win total is. And if it's more than 5.5, bet the over and see where it goes.
That's not a bad idea. I'll put
50 cents.
Oof. I'll put 50 cents. I'll put 50 cents. I bet I'll probably win $1.50, so I think that's a good bet.
See, here's the fun thing about the chemistry, me and John being able to sit in the same room doing the show. We get to have a conversation actually the way that we would when we're hanging out, because we're actually hanging out having a conversation.
True.
I knew he was going to say 25 cents. I was already on that.
Yep.
Good to go. I saw it in his eyes. He won
that's
25
my legit
cents.
Bet. That's my bet. That's my bet on it. And the phone just fell, so that's a sign. That means that I got to up it. I got to put it 50 cents.
So, John, we're going to talk a little bit of UFC, but I am going to leave it for the Jacked and Canned episode that's immediately following this, only because we have actually gone right about to the time that we try to get the show to. So, John, we're going to talk a little bit of UFC here coming up, and I have some very exciting things to share with you. And I don't know if you have or have not seen it.
I haven't.
Okay, cool. I know I texted you about the main thing I want to talk about, but John, before we even get to doing the usual episode of Jack and Cans, I forgot what I'm calling it these days.
The Jacked and Can show.
I'm not sure what to call anything because now I
episode.
got nobody is shiftier and I don't know what to say now. But I'm going to show you the video of what I want to show you so that you can at least appreciate what happened because it was that great. John, as always, this has been the Sports Roundtable of Jacked and Canned.